Alright everyone, today's the day. It's another big superhero adventure coming to theaters. So I'm going to go see it this afternoon, but I wanted to go ahead and give some of my preview thoughts on the movie before I go see it. Because the ride that has been the hype train for Supergirl has been very up and down for me, and I just kind of wanted to document that so that there's a very clear before and after picture to this review. I've said it before and I don't mind saying it again, I'm not the biggest fan of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I think it's a beautiful book, I think it's a well-made book, but it just didn't strike a chord with me. The movie being so firmly based on this very specific book, it doesn't put me in an automatic positive place with the movie. They're going to adjust things, they're going to adapt things for the movie, so it's not going to be exactly like the book. So I'm kind of hoping for that, I'm looking forward to that. I guess we'll see. And then if you've been following the channel, you also know that I was not sold at all on that first trailer. I thought it wasn't really living up to the potential that this movie could do, but then they started releasing some of the clips from the movie and oh man. Okay, so all of the stuff with Krypton, I think that's going to be really interesting. And then they released the clip that had Superman in it. Oh man, they just knocked it out of the park with that casting for Superman. He is just perfect. If we get stuff like that, this is going to be a fun time. I kind of hate that the thing that made me excited for Supergirl was a cameo from Superman. I understand that I do have a really big bias towards that, but I was hoping that the movie would be able to sell me on it by itself. So while I started from underground with this, I started to get a little bit more excited in recent days and in recent weeks because of some of the extra stuff they've been showing off about the movie. So I'm going to go ahead and cut here, and then we're going to go to the movie, and then we're going to watch the movie, and then we'll come back and we will talk about it. Good plan. Yeah. Okay, guys, I had a lot of fun. That was a good time. Oh my gosh. Oh. There were a lot of moments there. I'm just having a lot of fun watching this movie. Okay. Wow. Okay. Adrenaline. It's hitting me. Deep breaths. Drink some water. It's empty. Okay. I got my notes here. Let's talk about this movie because there is a lot to talk about. This was a fun time. This was exciting. Alright, let's talk a bit about the story first. So, after having seen it, it's like Woman of Tomorrow, but they adapted it for the new medium really, really well. Let me try to explain what's going on. So the story is that this young girl named Ruthie, she lives on like this farm with her parents. Her parents are blacksmiths, and then this gangster called Crumb of the Yellow Hills shows up, murks her family, and skedaddles. And Ruthie, she's really, really concerned about getting revenge, so she goes to a local dive bar to try and hire some help. Supergirl is there celebrating her birthday, feeling kind of bad about Krypton, and then she goes back to her ship, but Creme of the Yellow Hills finds the ship, hijacks it, and in the process of hijacking, injures Krypto with this time-sensitive poison. That's the beginning of the book, that's the beginning of the movie. There's no questions there, and I'm not going to really spoil anything for this movie because I want to make sure you guys enjoy it. If you want spoilers, they'll probably come up in a later video. This is 100% just a point of personal preference. I recognize that and I understand that, but there's a lot of elements in this book that I just find to be a little bit extra. In short, it took the book that I would say is a fantasy space opera and turned it into a pretty straightforward sci-fi action story, which Yeah, I'm on board with that plan. That was great. Unfortunately, the thing that I do love about the book, the visual aspect of it, the art that was done by Bilquis Evely and her team, it is the big highlight of the book, and it's the reason why I would say people love this book so much, but it doesn't translate into the movie, like, at all. When I reviewed the trailer and I talked a little bit about the visual language of this movie, I noted that the design of locations and costumes felt very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque. And on top of that, Supergirl's casual outfit costume, she wears that for most of the movie, and I was exactly right. She blends into the background a lot. Now, I can see why they would choose to do this, because there are two camps there. Now that I've seen the movie and I understand some of what they were trying to say with themes and stuff, keeping Supergirl and her darker clothes, her casual outfit, it works really well to help support the themes of the movie. When you're doing costume design for a movie, you have a really cool opportunity to support the themes of it by having costumes be a certain way, and that was fine. So cool, but all of the planets, they all looked the same, which was brown and dusty and gross. The trailer showed Supergirl going to like 3 different planets, and I had no idea. I thought I only saw one planet, and that's frustrating. If all of your planets look the same, what's the point in even traveling? What I wish we had instead is we had Supergirl and the costumes that she is in, because I think they're very representative, but I wish all of the planets took on a different kind of motif. It's why sci-fi keeps doing like these weird cartoonish planets where like the whole planet is a forest, or the whole planet is an ice cap, or the whole planet is a desert, because it helps make things look distinct when you're traveling between them. Even when she's on Krypton, you would think that Krypton, it would be very different because it's like we have an understanding of it a little bit. Rather than being dark brown, it was a golden brown. So like it all just kind of mushed together eventually, and that was a bit disappointing. If I had my way, I would love it if Supergirl kept the costumes that she had, but that the locations were different. That would solve this problem for me. But it is a problem that is still there. However, part of the visuals are the special effects. Yeah, that was cool. You know, Superman-like powers, I don't think they've looked cooler in a movie. This one did it. There's a lot more action scenes in this movie than there were in Superman, and also Supergirl is facing off against aliens that are a lot more capable with standing toe-to-toe against her. Though they make it very clear she is still the powerhouse of the movie, and it was fun and made the action scenes more bold and bombastic, and it was exciting. Now, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the characters and the acting in this movie. Okay, so everyone is perfectly cast. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Krem is way more interesting in this than he was in the book, and that is a big credit to the actor who played him. Hold on. I gotta look up the cast list real quick. I looked it up and it gave me the list for the TV show. Matthias Schoenaerts. I believe that's how it's pronounced. He is, holy cow, he was really good. Creepy and spooky and like makes your skin crawl. He was good. Eve Ridley played Ruthie. I can see Ruthie being like somebody's favorite character now. Like she put so much life into her. She gave her so much gravitas and so much intrigue. She's just a one-off character. She shows up only in Woman of Tomorrow, and she's set off in a way in the book to where she's not going to appear in anything ever again. She is one-off. And she is one-off in this movie too, but that is a real shame because Eve Ridley here, she nailed the part. And then, of course, we gotta talk about Millie Alcock, who played Supergirl. Wow. Perfect casting. Like, we saw her a little bit at the end of Superman. Just a little bit. And it's like, we could already tell that, like, she was going to do a fun job with Supergirl. And she nailed it. It was so good. She took the themes of this survivor's guilt that she and Ruthie still have, like both have. And she was able to balance being a mentor to Ruthie and being her own character on a learning journey herself really, really well. Better than I think the book did. Yeah, great work. A thumbs up for that. And of course, Jason Momoa, he plays Lobo in the movie, and that was always the dream casting, right? Like, when he was cast as Aquaman a billion years ago, I remember the conversation being, why is he Aquaman? He should be Lobo. Even he said, I should be Lobo. And then they cast him as Lobo, and he just home run. Holy cow. Making a really interesting character that was a really good antithesis to what Supergirl's point was to Ruthie. Both of them, Lobo a little bit more passively, but still there, trying to fight for her attention and fight for her acceptance of their own philosophies, as well as being a really interesting mirror against Supergirl of, like, you're going down this path, this is the kind of person you're going to become if you keep going on this anger trip that you've been on ever since you've left Krypton and landed on Earth. It's really, really good. And then, of course, we got to talk a little bit about David Cornsweet, who played Superman in this movie as well as his own movie. In his own movie, he proved, yeah, he understood the assignment. He knew what he was doing. And in this movie, yeah, he understands the assignment still, and he still knows what he's doing. He shows up for a couple of scenes only, but they're so good. All right, so it's worth talking a little bit about the themes now. I tapped on these a little bit, but the premise of the book and the premise of the movie just breeds this conversation about survivor's guilt, grief, and growth, and how all of that plays together. Supergirl, she's off partying endlessly because she misses home, and she feels guilty that she's the only one that survived her home planet. She and Clark, but they really punch this point home when she lands on Earth, meets Clark, and he's not going by his Kryptonian name, which she expected. He's not speaking the language which she was hoping for. Like, she is completely alone, and the only link to that she has to Krypton, it's kind of weird. While she reveals in the movie that she respects Superman, she doesn't seem to care all that much about him. He's there, he's trying to reach out, and she just won't reach back, which is just really, really interesting because she's still trying to process the reason why she's surviving, and she didn't want to. She didn't want to leave Krypton. She wanted to die with everyone else because that was more preferable to her in her mind than having a chance to live on. Oh my gosh, it was really, really interesting. There is something to talk about there. Wow. Supergirl has always been this really good example of PTSD and survivor's guilt. And they show it a lot in the comics, and it's really good. This movie shows it off really well. And it creates a really interesting discussion that you can have with a character who you think would be familiar, but really is not. And then that's also, mirrored in Ruthie's whole story arc as well. Because the difference here is that she can get revenge. She knows what happened. She can fight against the thing that ruined her life and ended every relationship she's ever had. And so you have Supergirl who's trying to convince her, no, that's not how you process it. But then she's like, well, you're not processing yours very well either. And it's just really, really deep. Something you could really sink your teeth into and talk about for a very long time. Yeah, so there it is. This was a great movie. I should have more faith in DC. They made an excellent Superman movie. They've been doing really well with Batman. I should have trusted them more with Supergirl. A trailer is a trailer. The movie is a completely different thing. The book is a book. The movie is a completely different thing. And that's my recommendation here. I would recommend this movie to anyone who really wants a really cool sci-fi action movie. It has very similar vibes to the first couple seasons of The Mandalorian, especially, the second season, I would say, of The Mandalorian. Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, it has a lot of the same visual language. If you like that, it's there. The kind of used space station kind of thing going on. This is kind of like Earth, but it's kind of not. She stops by a gas station and gets a slushie in space. Yeah, that you have that kind of thing going on. It's really interesting. Also, if you liked Logan, when I was watching it after I got out of the theater, I was thinking, this is kind of like Logan in a lot of ways. If you liked Logan, I think you would like Supergirl. Also, my last thought here, this is doing what I hoped every kind of adaptation would do. Yes, it is the book, but it also is its own thing. If you read the book and you're like me and you didn't like the book, I wouldn't let that stop you from seeing the movie. Also, if you've seen the movie and you liked it, you should check out the book. Because the book in a lot of ways is an expanded version of the movie, and it gives it a very different flavor, and you might like that as well. I've always been bothered by adaptations that are one for one, because it's like, I already have this, I don't want to see it again necessarily. So this movie recognized that problem and adapted the story, but also showed it in a different lens, a different visual lens, different character lens, and those things combined make it a very unique and very interesting experience that feels familiar, but very fresh at the same time. It was cool. So yeah, that was Supergirl. I liked it a lot. I recommend it. Go out there, go watch the movie, have a fun time. Come back and let me know all about it in the comments below. And until next time, thank you for joining me. Have a great day, and remember to always be your best self. I hope you appreciated my review here, and I hope that if it helped you want to see the movie, put that in the comments, let me know. And if you like comic book stuff, subscribe. I would love to have you stick around and we can talk about more comic book stuff, and it'll be great.